Now it's working. Good evening, how are you? Today we're going to finish bonding as I told you. Today is the last part. If you remember the previous classes, we're done with ionic bond, we're done with covalent bond. Still we only have giant covalent bond and metallic bond. For today, inshallah, we're going to finish the last part of the bonding, and then we are going to stop. We're going to take some past papers. We're not going back to start new topic. We're going to do some past papers for the parts of the bonding. I don't know, maybe
Miss,
next Friday we're going to have it vacation, because already a lot of schools, they are having vacation for this week, and also because some students are having October, November. If you didn't find any post on Instagram or on the group, but this means there is no class next Friday. I will see you, I will tell you. Yani, I'm going to check the students if there are a lot who will not join next class because of the vacation and because of October, November. So I'm going to I'm not going to put it, yani. I'm not going to make the class. Oh, I forgot كمان to send
وانا
the record for last class. I will put it after we're done. The record for the covalent bond, I will put it برضو on the group inshallah once we're done. Well, I uploaded for you all the PDFs of the topics that we're done with. I put states of matter, I put the atom, all types of bonding. There is a lot of parents, they were asking about moles, so also I put moles. Okay, for the ones who didn't join, I was doing moles this week, Sunday and Tuesday. For the ones who didn't join, unfortunately, the record was not done. That's why I didn't send it. Okay, that's why I always say try to try as much as you can to join the class better than the record. Sometimes the record doesn't work. Miss, do we have to memorize the boiling point of ethanol? Yes, yes, Juju, we have to. 78. يلا, let's start.
اصل هو جاب لي سؤال كده في الامتحان
Yes, we have.
الهيتنج كيرف بتاع substance
Yes,
وقال
we
لي ايه
have.
substance ده.
Yes, dear, we have to. We have to memorize for water and we have to memorize for ethanol. يلا, let's start. So for today, as I told you last class, we were talking, if you remember, about the covalent compound, but we were talking about the simple covalent compounds. For today, we're not going to talk about the simple ones. We are going to talk about the giant one. Usually, if you remember, the simple ones were having low melting or boiling point. They were insoluble in water. They don't conduct electricity. But for now, we are going to talk about other examples for the covalent bonds, which are giant covalent bonds. They are not simple. They are giant covalent bond. And also they are having high melting or boiling point. They are having totally different properties than the simple ones. طب how many examples do we have for giant covalent? We have mainly 3 examples: diamond, graphite, and silicon dioxide. The diamond and the graphite, بصوا here, this is the simple covalent compound. I just want to show you. Some students, they didn't get the idea of why the simple covalent compounds have low melting or boiling point. A lot of students, they didn't get this point. Why they have low melting or boiling point? So I want to show you something. If I'm having...
weak intermolecular forces.
Exactly. If I'm having here hydrogen, I'm having here hydrogen as an example. Again, this is hydrogen, or this is hydrogen. The forces between them, and if you check if this one hydrogen, or this is one hydrogen, or this is one hydrogen, the forces between the hydrogen molecules together, this is a weak force. Okay, we call it intermolecular forces. Why intermolecular? Because this is a molecule, again, this is a molecule, this is a molecule. So the forces between the molecules are really weak. That's why they need small amount of energy to break. Okay, this is for the simple one. But for today, we are going to take the other way, or the other part, the other types of covalent bond, which are really having high melting and boiling point. What are these types? We call them giant covalent. How many examples do we have in this topic? We have diamond and we have graphite, and also we have silicon dioxide as well. But let's talk about diamond or graphite. The diamond and the graphite, they call them allotropes. Why we call them allotropes? Because both of them, they are made of carbon. Both of them, they are made of the same substance, but their structure is totally different. If I'm going to show you now how the diamond look like وهاو the graphite look like from inside, they are totally different than each others. هما بس both of them they are made of the same element. Both of them they are made of carbon. But as a structure, they are totally different. طيب, let's take the first example, which is diamond. If you check here, you're going to find for this one, what are, first of all, you need to know what should I study in this topic. Number one, you need to study, the first part you need to study, what is the structure for diamond. This is number one. Number two, you need to study what are the physical properties for diamond. And then number three, what are the uses for diamond. For every giant covalent compound, we need to know 3 points. We need to know what is the structure, what are the physical properties, and what are the uses. طيب, before I start, sometimes they call a giant covalent, sometimes they call it macromolecules. Why? لأنه sometimes when I get it to the students in the exams at the word macromolecules, they didn't get it in the macromolecules is the same like giant covalent. It's the same. It's the same. Giant covalent is the same like macromolecules. Right. For the diamond بقى, I need to know what do we call the structure. We call it tetrahedral. What do I mean by the word tetrahedral? Tetra, it means 4. Tetra, it means 4. Hedral اللي هو the structure. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Since everyone is 4, so we call it tetra. So we call this tetrahedral. Okay?
مس، هو احنا بنسميهم allotropes ولا macromolecules؟
Sorry?
Do we call giant covalent compounds allotropes or
No,
macromolecules?
not all the giant covalent are allotropes. Allotropes when they are both made of carbon, as an example, but their structures is totally different, like the diamond and the graphite. Okay, not all the giant covalent are allotropes. No, not all. You got my point? Diamond and graphite only are allotropes.
تمام.
Okay. a minute كده. So let's continue. So this is called, as I said, if I ask you about the structure, I'm going to say this is called tetrahedral. And if I'm going to talk about the properties بقى, طبعا for sure they have high melting or boiling point. Diamond is one of the highest melting point. يعني all the natural substance you're going to find in diamond is one of the highest. It has a very high melting or boiling point. يعني to break diamond, if you decided to break diamond, you need to break diamond with something made of again diamond. Diamond is having a high melting or boiling point. Also, it doesn't conduct electricity. Why it doesn't conduct? لأنه mainly diamond is made of carbon. Well, carbon is 6. So 2 and 4. Since carbon is 6, so 2 and 4. Since in the outer shell it's having 4 electrons, already the carbon here is making 4 bonds. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But since already the carbon is making 4 bonds, that's why it's not going to conduct electricity. لأنه it already used the 4 electrons. As you see here, it already used the 4 electrons in the outer shell. So this means it's not going to conduct electricity. But if he asks you, why does diamond doesn't conduct electricity? I'm going to say because there is no free moving electrons. If you are an Edexcel student, you need to add إنه كمان the outer shell is having is having 4 electrons, with the 4 electrons already are used in sharing, but that's why there is no more there is no more electrons to conduct electricity. Type. What else we need to know about the diamond? We said high melting or boiling point, doesn't conduct electricity, وكمان insoluble in water. طبعا for sure it's going to be insoluble in water. So what do we use? طبعا for sure it's extremely hard, for sure. But take care, if I ask you about physical properties, don't go and say tetrahedral. Why? لأنه tetrahedral It's one of the structures. It's not related to the properties. Take care. يعني when I ask you about the structure, you need to say tetrahedral structure. But when I ask you about the properties, you need to talk about one of these. Type. What about the uses for the diamond? This is the last thing for the diamond. The diamond usually we use it طبعا for sure. All of us, you know, we use it في الجولري. What else في الجولري? We use it also for the
Cutlery.
excuse me?
Cutlery.
Yes, no, في الدايموند.
Cutlery tools.
Yes, we use it, but not in all the tools. Yes, that's true. بس يعني خلينا في uses that are more common. Can usually say
mining,
digging. Yes, mining, digging الرocks, breaking the
jewelry.
rocks.
أنا اتسألت قبل كده في past paper فعشان كده ذكرتها.
لا usually stainless steel maybe. لكن الدايموند it's not يعني it's not common لأنه الدايموند is very expensive. شبكتك دي بقى يا جوجو اللي هنجيبها كلها دايموند دي. So, as I told you, mainly diamond. It's used for digging, for cutting the rocks, for we use it also for jewelry. Okay, why? لأنه it's really having a high melting or boiling point where it's very hard. طيب, what is the second allotrope? يعني اللي هو similar برضو it's made of carbon, but the properties are totally different. طبعا if I ask you here why الأول هو it has a high melting or boiling point, I'm going to say because it has 4 strong covalent bond, so large amount of energy required to break the forces. طيب, for now we are going to take the graphite. What do we use the graphite in? What is the structure for the graphite? And what are the physical properties for the graphite? Number one, you need to say إنه structure بتاعت الجرافايت it's called hexagonal rings. If I'm going to show you here, hexa, it means 6. So hexagonal rings. What do I mean, as I told you, by the word hexa? أهو 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it is hexagonal rings. What about the forces between the layers? يعني if you feel there is here forces between the layers, you're going to find that the forces between the layers is really weak. يعني the forces here between the layers يعني هي already عارفين زي بتاعت الهاني دي فانا اللي هي شكلها hexagonal دي. اوكي بس هما layers كده ده الجرافايت ده it looks like layers والforces between the layers is really weak. That's why all the time they slide over each other. You're going to find in the layers بتاعت الدايموند they slide over each other. That's why the graphite is مش diamond, sorry, graphite. That's why graphite is used as a lubricant. Why it's used as a lubricant? This is a very common question for Cambridge and for Edexcel. Why do we use graphite as a lubricant? I'm going to say because it's formed of layers. These layers they are having weak forces of attraction between them. But that's why we usually that's why we use it as a lubricant. But for the ones who doesn't know what's a lubricant, it's something that is having عارفين lubricant يعني when you have الدور مش sometimes when you open the door and close the door you will find إنه there is a silly sound كده تحسوا الباب بيزيق كده. The door is having a really silly sound. what do the people do? They just put little oil.
بيحطوا زيت.
Exactly, they put little oil and the area اللي هي made of metal. So by time this is going to make it's going to decrease the friction. So that's why the door it's not going to make this silly sound when you open it and when you close it. why? لأنه الأويل is a lubricant برضه حاجة ملينة كده. فالأويل is a lubricant again graphite also is a lubricant as well. Okay, so we have graphite, it's a lubricant, and also we have another uses for graphite غير lubricant. It's used in the electrodes. I will finish and then I will take your questions. So we can use it as for graphite. We also use it as electrodes. What do I mean by electrodes? Later when inshallah we will take electrolysis, we will know when I want to make electrolysis, the anode and the cathode are made mainly from graphite لأنه graphite is a good conductor of electricity. So we'll take this later إن شاء الله. But graphite we use it in electrodes, we use it as a lubricant, كمان we use it في البنسلز. يعني if this is a pencil you're going to find كده بيبقى فيه part اللي هي made of lead, the part that we write with. But this part is mainly made of graphite mixed with lead. That's why when you write
Miss,
with a pencil, you're going, excuse me, can I finish this and then I will take your question, please? So that's why when I write on a paper, you're going to find, this was a question before in Cambridge, you know, when you write, you're going to find that the pencil is sliding over the paper. Why it's sliding? Because the layers, again, because it is formed of layers, when layers slide over each other. So that's why it is the screen opened? Yes, opened. No, just rejoin يا جوجو. So as I said, it's going to be made of layers, and these layers they slide over each other. So all these are the uses for graphite. It's used in electrodes, it's used as a lubricant, it's used in pencils, as I told you. طيب, what are the other properties بقى? What are the properties for graphite? طبعا for sure it's going to conduct electricity. طب why it conduct? لأنه if you check الcarbon in graphite is 2 and 4. But here it's not doing يعني there in the diamond. Also in the diamond, if you check, it was making 4 bonds. So here the carbon was doing 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it was using all the 4 electrons in sharing. It was sharing by the 4 electrons. That's why there is no more to A. There is no more free electrons. That's why diamond doesn't conduct electricity. But for here, when we talk about graphite, it's a different issue. Graphite, if you check here, this is graphite, it's a C6, so 2 and 4. The outer shell here is having 4 electrons, but how many electrons do I have? 1, 2, 3. You see? 1, 2, 3. Again, 1, 2, 3. Every element is sharing, or every element is using 3 only out of this 4. Yani it's supposed to be 4 electrons in the outer shell, but I don't use the 4. I just only use 3 of these electrons. So since it uses only 3, that's why it's going to be a good conductor of electricity. لأنه this electron, اللي هو fourth electron, is going to rotate. يعني fourth electron, you're going to find it here everywhere. But that's why this electron is going to be conducting electricity. It's responsible for conduction of electricity. Okay, I think we said everything about graphite. طبعا برضو again it's insoluble in water. The most important point about the graphite, as I told you, إنه it is sliding over each others. طبعا for sure it needs برضو large amount of energy to break, high melting boiling point, same like the others. طيب, what about silicon dioxide? أو sand. Silicon dioxide, this is not allotrope because you were asking about allotropes. No. Diamond and graphite, they are allotropes because both of them are made of carbon. Like in silicon dioxide, it's made of what? It's made of silicon and it's made of oxygen. It's made of silicon and oxygen, so they are totally different. There is no carbon anymore. Right. Silicon dioxide, they have the same properties like the diamond. Exactly the same. يعني structure tetrahedral. Physical properties high melting boiling point, good conductor, sorry, it doesn't conduct electricity, insoluble in water, high melting boiling point. So it's almost all the properties, same like the properties of the diamond, no change. But what is the only change? The only change is when you write, and it's made, يعني مرة جا في Cambridge, إنه every silicon is surrounded by how many oxygen? But here the silicon is surrounded by 4 oxygens. 1, 2, 3, 4. طب every oxygen surrounded by how many silicon? If you check here, every silicon surrounded by 4 oxygen. طب every oxygen, if you check here, you will just tell me 1 silicon. That's wrong. Why? لأنه again there is 1 more silicon dioxide here. So This means إنه every silicon surrounded by 4 oxygen و every oxygen surrounded by 2 silicons. Okay, this is really important. Okay. لكن the other ones, the diamond was made only of carbon. So again, as I told you, this is the same properties like the others. Tetrahedral, high melting or boiling point, doesn't conduct electricity, everything, all the properties of the diamond, nothing changed. The only one, someone is writing and he want the code. خلاص, someone send it. Thank you for the ones who are يعني بجد thank you so much والله for the girls and the boys and all the time they are replying on the group. I really appreciate that. Sometimes I'm driving, I couldn't, sometimes I'm having classes, you know, I'm having classes continuous every day till night. I don't have rests. That's why I don't have that much time to reply, especially if I'm driving. Although sometimes once I'm free, I reply as much as I can. But I really appreciate the ones who are replying. Thank you so much. So these are the properties of the silicon dioxide, as I told you. So this topic is really easy. It's very simple. It's only بص I just want to show you هو mainly topic it's talking about diamond graphite silicon dioxide. But before we start metallic bond, I just want to show you this one. This is not as an example in the book, but it was there before in the past papers for Cambridge and for Edexcel. That's why I will say it quickly. This is again, it's a joint one, but it's made of 60 carbon atoms, C60. They usually use it for drugs, في الدراج delivery. They use it في الميديكال field in general لأنه it's not toxic و it doesn't react with the medicine and so on. But what was really weird about this إنه it is having low melting or boiling point. If they ask you why it has no melting or boiling point, you will say because the forces here were weak and it needs low amount of energy to break. It was not common
Yes.
you will tell me, Miss, how do I know? He wrote for you a table كده and he showed you the difference between one of them was having I think diamond was having a high melting or boiling point, and then they showed you this one, and this one طبعا was having low. But he was just checking هو checking understanding and you understand إن كل ما النمبر يكون a big number the forces are stronger, you need large or more amount of energy to break. But he was checking understanding this. Okay, never seen a question about it. Mohamed, لا, it was there before. I can show you the question if you want. It's in my past papers. Kid, it's not mine only. Any past papers it was there. But say it's not common, honestly. It was there once. But since it was there, we need to know it. Like in the books, it's not there. You will tell me, how you miss it is not in the books, but it is in the question. I told you before, sometimes the past papers, they are asking you questions just for checking understanding. They want to make sure you understand. You got the point? But yeah, that's it. It's nothing يا جوجو, بس هو compound كان حاطط في التable إنه it has low melting or boiling point. فhere he was asking, he was comparing between this one and this example and diamond. I don't remember between this and which one, but it was having low melting or boiling point. Next class I will get you this question since we are going to do past papers اللي هو next Friday أو the Friday after أكيد you will see on the Instagram أو على الجروبس, على الواتساب جروبس. So because it has weak forces of attraction, that's why it has low melting or boiling point, because you need small amount of energy to break it. Okay. Strong like diamond? لا, they are not strong. They are not strong, they are weak. Although هو الweird إنه it is 60 carbon atoms but it is weak. It's not strong. لا. طيب metallic bond بقى, which is our last type finally for bonding. I can't imagine احنا we're done with bonding. It's too long. Metallic bonding بقى, it's the easiest type of bond. Very, very, very simple. طبعا metallic bond every year it's there. every year. يعني every year you will find the question of metallic bond in Cambridge and Edexcel. The majority of the years it's very rare to find إن هما they missed 1 year يعني. طيب what are the properties for metals in general؟ طبعا for sure you know metals are having high melting or boiling point. Yes يا جوجو.
هو في حاجة قطعتك ولا أنا اللي
لا yes.
في حد قطعك ولا أنا اللي حاسة؟
No. Let me.
24.
Okay. So number one, I'm going to say, what are the properties for the metallic bond? I will say they have high melting or boiling point, they are malleable, they are ductile. So let's take property by property. What do I mean by the word malleable? Malleable, it means can be bent. يعني it's like this one. Also like this one. You see? It's malleable. Oh. It's malleable. أو this all. You see? All the metals are are malleable. يعني you can bend it. Am I right? So it can be bent. Malleable, it means it can be bent. وبريتل it means it can sorry قصدي وductile it means إنه it can be drawn into wires. This one. Like this one, ductile. The wires in general, they are ductile and it can be drawn into wires. Okay? طيب. So, do you know, I told you this was a question before in the exam. They asked them, what is the property that means in the metals can be shaped? It was 1 mark question. It was in October, November. It was one of the new exams. You should say only malleable. And it was the one below it was what is the property for the metals that shows no metals can be used in wires. So I'm going to say it can be drawn into wires. So I need to say it's ductile. لا brittle يا جوجو حاجة تانية. brittle يعني like ionic compound. Ionic compounds are brittle. Brittle يعني if you're having a big piece كده and then you do forces, it's not going to bend بقى. لا, it's going to separate. عارفة زي لو جبتي rock of salt كده and then you hammer it, you're going to find the parts will separate. بس
المولكيول لازقين في بعض.
Yes. بس دي مش من البروبرتيز بتاعت الميتال، دي من البروبرتيز of ionic compounds. لكن الميتالز malleable, ductile, طبعا lustrous, they are shiny, high melting or boiling point, conduct electricity, conduct وsonorous. طبعا أكيد for sure you know sonorous. مش عارفة عندنا حاجة هنا sonorous it means إن هما they make sound like the ring bell أو الchurch bell. طيب
بس هو ايه illustrious؟
لا lustrous يعني shiny زي كده جيش.
شكرا.
So shiny وmalleable وductile, high melting or boiling point, good conductor of heat and electricity طبعا for sure. All this we know it already. بس البوينت بقى إنه sometimes the students they don't know. يعني مثلا the first question that every year is there, what's meant by metallic bond? With the other question, why do metals have high melting or boiling point? Why do they conduct electricity? طيب. This is how the metallic bond look like. If you check, it's mainly made of positive ions and yes, dear. So it's mainly made of positive ions, as you see here. Positive ions were surrounding by what? By electrons everywhere. طب from where are these electrons? الميتالز احنا قلنا when we were talking about the ionic bond, we said in the metals they always lose electron. قلنا الميتالز they always lose electrons. When non-metal they always gain electron. If I'm having something like lithium is 2 and 1. You see? All the time the lithium will lose ال1. بصوا اهو. هوب. All the time it will lose ال1 electron. شايفين ال1 electron is moving everywhere. So the lithium is going to lose this one. So where is the metallic bond? The metallic bond is between, it is the force between the positive ion أهو this is the positive ion. So it is between the positive ion and the C of these delocalized electron. يبقى خلاص now once the metal lost electron it will change to positive ion. This is positive ion, positive ion. So it is the force between the positive ion and the C of delocalized electron. يعني what do I mean by C? C يعني a lot, like the beach كده. C, it's a lot. So like the attraction force between the C of between the positive ions and the C of electrons that are there everywhere. Okay.
بس هو مش الإلكترون الله gaining by another substance ما تفضلش موجودة يعني.
لا هنا ما هو هنا we don't have a metal. Here we don't have a sorry we don't have a non-metal. It's only a metal. صح؟ It's only بس they are always بس losing electrons, whereas you see electrons are free to move. طيب the first question that we will have in the exam, what's meant by metallic bond? I will say it is the force of attraction between what and what? As you see here, it is the force of attraction between the positive ions. طب why they are positive ions? They lost electron. When any element lose electron, it changes to positive ion على طول. يبقى it is the force of attraction between the positive ions وفي surrounding them ايه بقى؟ sea of electrons. يبقى it is the أهو as I told you أهو it is the force of attraction between the positive ions and the sea of delocalized electron. sea يعني a lot. Delocalized يعني they are not in their places, they are moving everywhere. Delocalized electrons. Oh, you see here, this is the lithium plus. All the electrons are surrounding them. So that's why the electrons are يعني connecting all the lithiums together. بصوا. طبعا ال dashed lines دي we don't draw it. I just put it for you so you can imagine what does these electrons do. So once again, once he will ask you what's meant by metallic bond, you will say it is the attraction force between positive ions, اللي هم these ones. It is the attraction force between positive ions, اللي هم these, and C of delocalized electron. You see here? Oh, C of delocalized electrons. Take care, you need to say the word attraction force. If you forget to say the word attraction force, you lost the mark. You need to say it is the attraction force, كده 1 mark, between positive ions and C of delocalized electron. Okay? If he asks you, describe the metallic bond, how does it look like? هقول بقى, it is the regular arrangement, as you see, the regular arrangement of positive ions with C of delocalized electron. لأنه طبعا as you see here, it looks like crystals. It's a joint one. يعني كل البونز أصلا joint. All the bonds are joint. الميتاليك joint, الأيونيك joint. هي بس الكوفالنت هي اللي simple except الجوينت covalent. almost the majority of the bonding are joint. يعني حاجات عندها high melting or boiling point. Okay? طيب, one more question. Yes, يا جوجو. I told you I will take the questions at the end. Yes, what do you want?
No, I will ask it at the end. I raised it by mistake. والله I didn't mean it.
It's fine. So again, once I'm going to ask you what, في الexam بقى usually he will write what? Describe the bond in sodium. Describe the bond in magnesium. Describe the bond in aluminium. He's not going to tell you describe metallic bond. No, it's not going كده to be a piece of cake كده. لا, we said before, usually they get it in an indirect way. So you need to say it is the force of attraction between the positive ions and the C of delocalized electron. But if he asks you to describe the bond, not what's meant by metallic, what's meant by metallic, I will start by the attraction force between A و A. لكن I ask you to describe the metallic أو describe البوند في الليثيوم, في الصوديوم, في البوتاسيوم. So you need to start by إنها it's a regular arrangement of positive ions and A and C of delocalized electrons. Okay, طيب, what else? Oh, if he asks you to draw, you need to draw at least 5, especially for Edexcel. You need to draw at least 5 like this. How many row? 3 rows. يعني you need to draw. And if this is 3 or if this is 2, يبقى one more like this. And then one more row like this. All of them, they are positive, huh? And then you draw like this. And then you draw the electrons randomly كده anywhere. Okay, so it is positive ions who surrounded by C of D localized electrons. Okay, وتake care it must be a regular one. You cannot do it as a random كده. لا, it must be all of them positive ions. You cannot just draw one of them bigger, one of the lithium very big, one very small. No, all of them must be the same size. So all the metals, as we said, are malleable. يعني it can be bent, as you see here. It can be bent. Where also they are ductile. If they ask you why it's malleable or why it's ductile, it can be drawn into wires. You need to say because all of them, they are made of layers, والlayers can slide over each others. لأنه usually, بصوا, remember it like this. Metals are malleable like this. Metals are malleable. Both starts with M. So when I ask you why metals are malleable, you're going to say why metals are malleable. You will say because a question only 2 marks. I will say the first question because it is made of layers. The word layers, 1 mark. So because you need to say because it's made of layers of positive ions sliding over each other's. Since it's layers of positive ions and they slide over each other's, that's why we call it malleable.
بس ممكن تعيدي الحتة دي؟
Again, I will show you again. You see? Oh. Here, this is layers of the positive ions. All the time, if I'm going to hammer it, I'm going to hammer the metal, what will happen? You're going to find, and you're doing force, so you're going to find in the layers, they slide over each other's. Oh. But since in the layers, they slide over each other's, that's why we call the metal malleable. Malleable, يعني can be shaped. طب you will tell me, Miss, why they didn't separate? Maybe they will separate. ما هو all of them, they are made of positive ions. All of them, they are made of positive ions. طب why they didn't separate? ما هما they supposed to repel each other's. They supposed, أصلا all of them positive ions, they supposed to repel. طب why they didn't separate? Why? Because electrons are still attracting them. يعني since the electrons are still attracting the layers together, هما they slide over each other, but they will not separate. But this is the main reason why it is malleable. Yeah. That's it. So you need to say the word layers of positive ions, كده 1 mark, slide over each other's, the 2nd mark. Yes, يا جوجو.
بس دلوقتي هو حضرتك قلتي إن الجرافايت could be used as an electrode. إزاي وهو الكربون is a reactive substance؟
لا، هو الكربون unreactive. هو الكربون it reacts بس ده يعني it's better than others لأن هو الكربون ده non metal و it's almost doesn't react يعني بس it's not a reactive one.
يعني هو أصلا لو عمل react مع أكسجين ممكن يتحول لكربون.
هيتحول لكربون دايوكسيد بس at this time you're going to يعني you're going to replace it. You're going to put another one. But if you put مثلا copper, if you put any other metals, it's going to react with all the substance بقى, not only oxygen. But that's why carbon is way better than others.
كربون حاجة separate يعني.
Yes, carbon أكيد is way better than others. For sure يعني. Okay? Okay, يا روحي. Like this, as I told you. Yes.
هو ده عشان هو lubricant ولا عشان هو soft؟
لا، هو lubricant. ما هو lubricant. بصي اهو. ما هو layers, as we said, layers they slide over each others like this.
عشان كده بنستخدمه في البنسلز مش
بس
عشان هو
انا مش
soft.
بقول، بصي، بس انا مش بقول عليه lubricant. اللي بقول عليه lubricant الجرافايت. الميتال ما بقولش عليه lubricant، بقول عليه malleable. remember the word metals malleable. لكن اللي بتقال عليه lubricant
يعني الجرافات
الجرافايت lubricant. لكن الميتال مش بستخدمه as a lubricant، لا. بس هو الليس بتاعته it's slide over each others، بس it's not used as a lubricant، لا. ايه؟
هو الدايموند عنده فورسز ولا بس كوفيلنت؟
لا، الدايموند عنده covalent طبعا، يس، عنده 4 strong covalent bond.
طب بس انا بس في حته ما فهمتهاش. هو يعني يعني ممكن اقول له ان سبس، يعني هو كل الميتالز سليبري عندهم لايرز، قصدي يعني سليبري لايرز.
All positive ions all metals are formed of positive ions, all of them they slide over each others. All of them.
اشمعنى ميركوري لا؟
الميركوري is a liquid. الميركوري is a different. الميركوري شوية is a different case. بس ده majority. احنا talking about the majority. يعني انت left all the metals وماسكة في الميركوري. يعني
اصل يعني هو انت لما حضرتك بتقولي ماجوريتي قصدك في النورمال ستيت؟
الميركوري الميركوري شوية عنده special، عنده different properties. We are not going to talk about it. يعني خليكي بس في الباقي الميتالز.
لا
يعني forget
يعني لما
about
انت
mercury.
بتتكلمي
listen
عن
بس
باقي
listen
الميتالز
listen يا جوجو.
الايرون.
listen يا جوجو please. مش لازم انا يعني don't make yourself confused. انت كده you're forcing yourself to be confused. احنا عايزين ال properties بتاعت ال majority of the metals like sodium, aluminium, magnesium, copper, اي any metal. فخلاص يبقى just know the properties for the metals. No need to know for mercury، لانه mercury عنده شوية properties شوية different. بس he's not going to ask
طب
you about
هو
the
إيه؟ طب
properties except something common يعني.
لو مثلا ميتال زي ايرون، حضرتك بتتكلمي عن ان هو عنده ريجولار ارينجمنت في حالة لو كان في النورمال ستيت بتاعته سوليد، صح؟
وhe will
ليكويد
ask
لا.
you about the normal state.
تمام. طب
Okay.
هو الالكترونز once they are lost from the positive ion بيرجعوا تاني؟
لا لا، مش بيرجعوا خلاص.
بيفضلوا بس بيتحركوا؟
Yes.
مم.
Okay. That's all for today. We're done كده with the bonding. إن شاء الله maybe next week or the week after I'm not going to start a new topic. We're going to do past papers for all the topics that يعني mainly for atoms and bonding. Stay tuned كده on the page. يعني just check before Friday. Usually when there is a class, I put the post by Thursday night or Friday morning. So if you find the post, but this means there is a class. If you find there is no post, but this means there is no class. I will check the majority of the students. If they will be there, inshallah, I will do the class here. Okay? Study well. Enjoy your night. Thank you so much. I'll see you inshallah next class. I love you. Thank you. Bye.
باي.
Bye. Bye. Bye.